continue our working day. The representative of the main Department of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, Mr. Skibitsky. Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, the main department of the Intelligence Department of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine prepared a short briefing on the development of the situation in the temporarily occupied Crimea and on the activities of Russian forces there in the result of occupation by Russian Federation of Crimea in 2014 is considered to be the factor that influences the security situation around the peninsula and in the whole Black Sea region. The main objective of the regime of Putin is to strengthen positions of Russia in Black Sea region and also create a powerful military forepost and that would be opposing USA and NATO. Besides, Russia pays special attention to the south of Ukraine, western part of Black Sea, Kerchin, Azov Sea, and also Abkhaz coast of Georgia and eastern part of Mediterranean. Russia continues to locate a powerful group of its armed forces on Crimean Peninsula, which includes about 24,000 servicemen, 613 tanks and armored combat vehicles, 162 artillery systems, about 100 combat aircrafts, 56 helicopters, 16 missile complex systems and 30 vessels and 4 submarines. That is much bigger than the grouping of Russian forces in Crimea before annexation of Crimea by Russia. During the 2020-2045, the numbers of Russian forces in Crimea and ammunition is planned to increase 1.5 to 2 times. During the recent times, there were changes in the aircraft component of the grouping of the armed forces of Russia in Crimea, plus to existing Navy aviation. There is also the 27th Aviation Division, which includes 3 different regiments. In total, this group can exercise the combat tasks to the in the whole area of Black Sea. Another stage of increasing the number, the presence of Russian military in the next Crimea was holding in the period from the 25th of May till 8th of June on the territory of the peninsula, the Russian army competition on aircraft skills of which is called Aviadats 2016. About 70 aircrafts of tactical aviation, 58 of them are now at the airfields of Belbekirevsky Saki. They were relocated there from the territory of Russia. And they will also be attracting the aircrafts of Tu-22 M3 type from the 22nd Bomb-Bearing Aviation Division from Engels of Saratovsky region. We need to mention that most of the aircrafts which were relocated to the territory of the peninsula, according to their tactical technical characteristics, can exercise combat tasks in the air space of Black Sea region. The commander of the air space troops of Russian Federation is General Colonel Bondarev. The leadership of Russia this way is promoting some of the political and military goals, among which is the attempt to demonstrate to international community that the occupied Crimea belongs to Russian Federation, increase of the readiness of the air component of armed forces of Ukraine to exercise large-scale offensive operations in Black Sea region. checking the capacities of air space forces of Russian Federation, um, uh, on whether they can locate and service all types of combat aircrafts to demonstrate to the countries of the region, first of all, countries members of NATO, the capacity to send the military aircrafts of the Black Sea um, uh, Navy, enhancing the aviation component of the group of Russian forces in Crimea. This way, the Russian Federation continues to demonstrate to Western countries their ability to promote their interests using military force. From practical point of view, such a powerful measure will negatively influence the resort season because most of these things will be taking place in places where the citizens who live on the territory of Crimea go for rest. Thank you, Vadim. Any questions, any clarifications? Yes, there is one. Please introduce yourself. Ukrainian radio. Will our armed forces be enhanced at the border with Crimea? Defense of our territory, because you say that all these exercises is the way to demonstrate their power. Yes, during this exercise, that the first, 3rd of and 4th of June, we will enhance our anti-aircraft defense. We will be also monitoring everything that is taking place there so that under the cover of these measures they do not commit any provocations or any other actions of Russian Federation which could be the threat, military threat for us. Thank you, Vadim. The next question. Channel 5. I have a more global question. Are you planning to locate more powerful tactical group of Ukrainian armed forces in the regions where there's the potential threat that there will be an offense from the territory of Crimea? Aviation, for example, or using Navy forces of Russia. First of all, as to strengthening, increasing the group of the armed forces is under the competence of the General Staff of Ukraine as to military intelligence. We monitor the activity of Russian forces. We monitor how they strengthen, where they strengthen their armed forces, and we submit all this information to the Ministry of Defense so that the decisions could be made. One more clarification. According to the intelligence data, are they deploying the nuclear weapons on the territory of the Crimea? There was information that they were planning to do so. On the territory of the occupied Crimea, there are the carriers of nuclear, tactical weapons, aviation vessels which can carry and use nuclear weapons. During the exercises of the groups of armed forces of Russian Federation, they work on the issue of how to transport the nuclear weapons to the territory of Crimea, but that's all at the stage of the exercises. One more question, the last one. According to the intelligence department, what are the objectives which are most probable? What plans are discussed in Russia? I couldn't understand your question. We have a military group in Kherson and Zaporizhzhia, part of Donetsk region, near Azov Sea. What are the most probable objectives? What could Ukrainians expect? Where to run away? Russian Federation in its scenarios is considering the possibility to take under control the southern regions of our country. They've been working on this scenario from the beginning of 2014, but because the group of the armed forces of Ukraine is deployed there in the southern part of our country, these plans is impossible for Russian Federation to implement. Thank you. See you again.
Шановні колеги, наступна подія рівно о 13:00.